Welcome back, Mishpaka. Today we're going to be going over section 1.3.7, the first kings of the Adats and the establishment of early monarchies. Let's begin. From clans to kingdoms, the shift after Babel. Before Babel, human communities were organized around families, clans, and tribes. Leadership was paternal, decentralized, and based on lineage rather than political ambition. But once the dispersion occurred, and peoples migrated with fragments of Babel's ideology, the world entered a new historical phase. Tribal leaders became chieftains. Chieftains became rulers. Rulers became kings. This transition was not natural development. It was inherited structure. The world did not invent kingship. It inherited it from Nimrod's system. Kingship did not emerge organically. It was adopted from the pattern built in Babel. The first kingdom, how monarchies formed. As populations settled into distinct regions, several factors produced the earliest kings. 1. Control of resources. Those who controlled water, agriculture, and trade routes gained leverage. This economic power translated into political authority. 2. Military organization. Groups threatened by hostile neighbors or wild environments formed militias. Leaders of these militias became war chiefs, early kings. 3. Religious centralization. Local priesthoods, carrying knowledge from Babel, elevated rulers by declaring them chosen, favored, divine agents. This sacral element legitimized political power. 4. Urbanization. Permanent settlements required governance. Cities needed laws, labor organization, defense, temples, storage facilities. A king became the organizing center. Kings of the Adats, Hadabar term with historical roots. Hadabar frequently references the kings of the Adats, a phrase that traces its origins to these earliest post-Babel rulers. That's important for referencing Hazun, which mentions continuity of corrupted empires and their rulers into the end times narrative. Here are a couple examples. Hazun 16:13-14. And I saw out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits as frogs, for they are spirits of demons doing signs, which go out to the kings of the Adats, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Yahweh Alua. And again in Hazun 17:1-2. And one of the 7 Malachim, who had the 7 bowls, came and spoke with me, saying to me, Come, I shall show you the judgment of the great whore sitting on many waters, with whom the kings of the Adats committed whoring, and the inhabitants of the Adats were made drunk with the wine of her whoring. As far as tracing origins to the earliest post-Babel rulers, those kings of the Adats were regional, territorial, ideologically shaped by Babel, religiously sanctioned, politically ambitious. They represented the earliest human attempt to imitate absolute authority, a plan first attempted by the fallen Shamarim. The first kings were not shepherds of the people. They were replicas of Nimrod's pattern, adopted from the fallen. Early dynasties and their characteristics. The earliest monarchies exhibited several consistent traits. They claimed divine sanction. Kings often asserted descent from Elohim or divine mandate to rule. This means they claimed descent from the fallen Shemarim and their pre-flood giant offspring. Note, Elohim is plural form for mighty ones. The kings controlled labor forces. Massive construction projects, temples, city walls, canals, required centralized command. They established hereditary lines. Authority was passed down to their bunim, forming dynasties, not unlike the Shamarim who passed authority to their offspring. Early monarchies used symbolic architecture. Palaces and temples were designed to visually enforce dominance. They merged priesthood and kingship. Kings presided over rituals and/or priests validated kings. Early examples. Proto-Mytsraym rulers along the Nile. Early Mesopotamian kings in Sumer and Akkad. Tribal kings in Elam and Kana'an. Early Iranian chieftain kings. Anatolian petty monarchs. The diffusion of monarchy occurred rapidly because the blueprint was well established. The rise of regional powers. Certain regions became hotspots for early kingdom formation. Mesopotamia. Fertile, irrigated, densely populated. Kingship developed early here and spread outward. Mytsraym. Geographically unified by the Nile. Early rulers consolidated Upper and Lower Mytsraym into centralized monarchy. Elam and Persia. Highland groups organized under warrior kings. Kana'an. Fragmented city-states, each with its own ruler. Anatolia. tribal confederations evolving into small kingdoms. Each region developed its own identity, but all shared the same fundamental pattern inherited from Babel. The theological rationale behind kingship. Kingship was not merely political, it was theological. People believed rulers, mediated between humans and the supernatural beings of the unseen realm, ensured fertility of land, guaranteed protection, upheld cosmic order. Priests reinforced these beliefs, cementing monarchy as both a civil and religious necessity. Kingship became the counterfeit of supernatural divine authority on autots. Why early monarchies spread so quickly? Monarchy offered stability in hostile environments, centralized direction for labor, unified response to threats, economic control, religious cohesion. These benefits made kingship attractive, even when oppressive. The people did not yet understand that monarchy was born from rebellion. Humanity embraced kingship because it promised order in a world newly scattered. The foundation for future empires. These early monarchies were the seedbed of future imperial systems. From these roots would grow Mytsraym divine kings, Assyria's militaristic rulers, Babylon's priest kings, Persia's imperial monarchs, Greece's city-state kings, Rome's emperors. But the earliest forms appear here, in the immediate aftermath of Babel's dispersal. Transition to 1.3.8. Now that the earliest monarchies and regional kings have been established, the next section will explore how these kingdoms expanded into the first true empires, laying the groundwork for the major powers that obscured Hadabar and historical records. This concludes section 1.3.7, the first kings of the autots and the establishment of early monarchies. Next, we will continue with section 1.3.8, the expansion of early kingdoms into the world's first empires.